Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tipped. My name is Julian, and in today's episode, we're going to be doing our final episode of that series of videos that I've been making about each individual NHL team, talking about their players and which players you should be drafting for your team that have fantasy value. We're ending it today talking about the Winnipeg Jets. Before we get started, guys, please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Trying to hit 1,000 subs this year at the very least, and we're getting super close. So every sub really helps, guys. Thank you so much. Without further ado, let's take a look at the Jets lines this year. And on that first line, we've got Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Blake Wheeler. On that second line, Copp, Dubois, and Ehlers. On that third line, Stastny, Lowry, and Vesalainen. On defense, Dillon, Pionk, Morrissey, Schmidt, Stanley, DeMello, and in nets, Hellebuyck and Comrie. So jumping into the Jets players, and the player being drafted the earliest on the team is Connor Hellebuyck, their goaltender. And last year, he started basically every game for Winnipeg, and he's an amazing goalie. He should be going as early as he is being drafted. The Jets are actually quite a good team this year. They've upgraded their defense, and they're in a pretty weak division in general, right? The Western Conference in general is pretty weak. So they should be able to win a good amount of games. And Hellebuyck's going to start basically everyone besides the back-to-backs, like Hellebuyck a lot. Next is Mark Scheifele. If you're drafting him, just take a note that he's suspended for one game. So the very first game of the season, you won't have him. So adjust your lineups accordingly. Scheifele, I like a lot. The dude is going to put up points no matter where he is put in the lineup. He should honestly stick with Connor and Wheeler the whole year though. So he's going to be able to produce, especially with those line mates. Do not be scared to draft Scheifele where he's currently going, around number 40. Next is his line mate, Kyle Connor. He'll be playing with Scheifele on the top line, on the top power play. Connor is a super talented guy, and he's going to also have a very strong season. Don't mind Kyle Connor this year either. Next is Nikolaj Ehlers, and last year he had an amazing season with 46 points in 47 games, shot the puck a lot, and he looked amazing. I think he's got definitely a lot of value where he's currently being drafted. Another thing to note is that the last three guys I've gone over, Scheifele, Connor, and Ehlers, all shoot the puck a very nice amount, which makes their floors safe. Next is Blake Wheeler, and last year he had a bit of a down season with only 46 points in 50 games. But if that's a down season, I'm kind of excited to see what he can do if he can rebound this year. He should be able to, right? He's going to get top power play time with Scheifele. He's going to get top line time with Scheifele, and he's a very talented player. I'm not too worried about Blake Wheeler. Next is Neal Pionk, and I like Neal Pionk a lot. Last year, he managed 32 points in 54 games, playing primarily on the second power play. This year, he may end up playing on the top power play, but it doesn't really matter in Winnipeg because both power plays get to play a solid amount. Regardless, Neal Pionk is a fantastic draft pick because the dude is going to put up points. He shoots about twice a game. He also has really great hitting totals, and he blocks a good amount of shots as well. He's a very complete fantasy defenseman. Next is someone I'm not so high on, and that's Pierre-Luc Dubois, currently being drafted around 169. So he's not being drafted super early. He's just not someone I'm high on. He went to Winnipeg last year, and he just didn't do that much, at least fantasy-wise, right? He's not putting up big numbers. He's barely shooting the puck. He just doesn't have a safe floor for that reason, and he does have a decent ceiling because he is still playing with Nikolaj Ehlers on the second line, but I'm just not that crazy about Pierre-Luc Dubois. Next is Josh Morrissey, currently being drafted around 175. And Josh Morrissey was pretty much on that top power play in Winnipeg the entire year. He only managed 21 points in 56 games, which isn't great, but the opportunity was there for him. This year, he's going to still get either top power play or second power play time in Winnipeg. And like I said before, both power plays get to play a lot in Winnipeg. So I don't absolutely hate Josh Morrissey. I just don't think he's that great of a defenseman, so he's not going to put up crazy numbers. But that late in the draft, I don't hate grabbing Josh Morrissey. Next is Andrew Copp, and last year he managed a really surprising season with 39 points in 55 games. Do I think he's going to do it again this year? It's certainly possible. He's playing on that second line with Nikolaj Ehlers and should be getting second power play time. So if he does, Kyle Connor could be a pretty good player for fantasy this year. He's not being drafted in a lot of leagues. So if you're in a deep league, yeah, I'd draft him. If you're not, I'd probably leave him on the waiver wire. And if he starts playing like he did last year, he's someone who is grabbable. Next is Brendan Dillon, who's not being drafted in 92% of leagues, and there's a good reason for that, right? He hits as much as Neal Pionk, but I'm not expecting anything else from him. He's not really an offensive player. He'll cap out at 20 to 25 points. So if you're in a deep league that really values hits, he has some late round value. Otherwise, I'd stay far away from him. Next is Paul Stastny, and right now he's the third line left winger. He could still see some power play time, but there are better options than Paul Stastny. That being said, if he's on your waiver wire, Mark Scheifele is going to be missing the first game for Winnipeg, so Stastny may end up getting his top line minutes. So if you want to stream him for one game, that would be the game to do it, in my opinion. Next is Nate Schmidt, currently not being drafted in 94% of leagues, and what people aren't realizing is that Schmidt probably ends up being on that Jets second power play. And like I keep mentioning, that power play actually gets a lot of power play time. So if he does end up on that power play, he could easily finish with 30 to 40 points on the year. And Schmidt's a guy who likes to block a lot of shots as well. So he may have some sneaky value considering he's not being drafted in the vast majority of leagues. I don't mind Nate Schmidt as a late sneaky pick. And that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. I really hope you appreciated this series of videos. 32 videos about 32 teams. Took a lot of time, took a lot of effort, but I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped.